Waddle show, a counteract, is in a way a third part of 3 exhibitions I did in 2019, of which the first 2 were in Germany, one at Kunsthalle Lingen and one at the Westfalischer Kunstverein in Münster. I think in a way they kind of go together, but they don't necessarily need each other to function. The exhibition at Kunsthalle Lingen was called the Schlanger Mushroom, which mainly in its title is included in this exhibition, in the sense that the entrance of the show and the structure in the middle is based on the idea of the snake charmer. In the exhibition at Kunsthalle Lingen, I brought together a lot of different works I did, I think, in the last 10 years or so. It wasn't intended as an overview, but I tried to create or propose new links between older and newer works. And by presenting a combination of paintings, textile works, photos, films and drawings in a more installation-like setup, the viewer had to kind of partake in a sort of a parcours to discover all the works and find their own links between them. I've actually been fascinated for a while now with the idea of the snake charmer and the snake. I think ever since I started collecting go with salt and pepper shakers a few years ago, I got interested in that notion of like 2 parts or 2 things that can't live without one another, such as salt and pepper. And then the show at Westfalischer Kunstverein in Münster was called Haus der Wanderer. It was a more classical exhibition painting show. The Wanderer as a figure took central stage here. And with the Wanderer, I mean the characters in the paintings and also the viewers visiting the exhibition. I guess that however determined you may be, every startup or process of making a painting or even having an artistic practice is a wandering process of failing and succeeding. Specifically for that exhibition, I made an addition of seating objects that also became characters in their own right. They all had a sort of a name card and a face, and I wanted people to be able to wander around the exhibition and not be rushed. So by taking a seat and being able to mentally drift off, you could get maybe further in your thinking and looking at the works that are in the show. I also felt the characters in the paintings in this exhibition all seemed to be part of the play waiting for Godot. The fact that the visitors could become a part of that was interesting to me. I think the show here at Museum M, together with Valerie Verhaak, the curator, we decided to take a few parts of these previous shows to make this one. The space needed a few solutions, which made it even more good that we had the idea to make a more theatrical setting. That's also why I decided to call it a show, so the Waddle show. There again, like the idea of the wanderer or waddling is something that comes back quite a few times in my work. So we kind of decided to build this sort of stage in the middle of the space, and on top there's they're called Waterworks. They are stacked sculptures in a way, and they somehow function as the actors in the show. And because of the movement of the snake or stage in the middle, people would have to go through and kind of find different angles to look at the work. And then we felt that maybe the paintings also became the spectators, so the relationship between painting, sculpture and visitor became interesting to me in a way. I started thinking about the artist as the snake charmer and the snake as the painting. And in a later moment, the painting then, to me, would become the snake charmer and the viewer would become the snake. And as a snake charmer or as an artist, you always try to get someone or something out of its comfort zone and come out to play in a way. There's a sort of a seduction and a struggle and a risk involved in that. It's mostly new works, but combined with a few older ones. I think a main thing that comes about quite a lot in my work is that I rework older works. This painting is called Contemplating Nightly Stunts. It's a painting that originally I made in 2015. So underneath it, you can still, if you look closely, you can see that there used to be, initially it was a pyrography, which is material to burn out, or with which I burned out a drawing. It's interesting that it's still kind of behind it, but not fully. So these different layers, or the history of the painting that you can see if you look closely to it, or all the paintings that were on there, that's interesting to me. You can also see that initially there was a straight line, but it kind of got shooken up in a way. So that unforeseen, the unforeseen things that happen while making a painting is something that I love a lot, and also try to always push to a sort of a limit, so I can move and better myself and get to a point where it really, really needs to be.